One of the immediate impacts of COVID-19 centered around renters who faced huge struggles making their rent payments every month when the pandemic hit in early 2020. At the time, the federal government stepped in to prevent people from getting evicted. But the federal freeze on most evictions enacted last year expired on Saturday. As NBC News correspondent Ali Vitale reports, it has become a major battle on Capitol Hill.
I'm behind 4 months, and the landlord is, at this point, just waiting, I guess, for the sheriffs.
Sierra Green is just waiting for a knock on her door.
To them, I'm already evicted.
Green is one of 6 million Americans behind on rent because of the pandemic. With the national eviction moratorium now lapsed, she's among the millions who could be put out on the street. But House lawmakers left town for a 6-week recess.
We need to be brought back to this House to finish this work so that people don't end up on the street while we go vacation.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi looking to the Centers for Disease Control.
So we would like the CDC to expand the moratorium. That's where it can be done.
The White House, meanwhile, looking to the states, urging them to dole out billions in emergency rental funds that have been slow getting out the door.
That money is there. They need to move that money to those renters and those landlords immediately.
Landlords out $21 billion over the last year. In the meantime, experts urging renters and landlords alike to work together.
If you know that the dollars are going to be coming and the person is actually working with you cooperatively, it doesn't make any sense to evict.
And the Congresswoman that you saw in that report, Cori Bush, joins us now. She has been protesting the end of the eviction ban, spending the past several nights on the steps of the Capitol. Congresswoman Bush, thank you for your efforts. The last sort of buck that was passed in the piece that we just aired was that it's for the states to use the money that is set aside to help with perhaps rent in future months. Is that where it stands? Is there money available for people who won't be able to pay their rent as this moratorium comes to a close?
Thank you, Mika. Yes, there's over $40 billion that is just sitting, waiting for people to use it. People who have the need right now, who have had this need for a year or more, or at least a few months. We have to get that money out to the people, but I don't think that that's the standalone. I believe that we should have orders that come down from the White House and the CDC to go ahead and pen the executive order. At least give us some time to get the votes in Congress to pass Chairwoman Maxine Waters' bill to have this moratorium go through December 31st.
Mike Barnacle.
So, Congresswoman, not that long ago in my life, I confronted being unable to pay rent years ago. So I have great sympathy for people on the edge of being evicted. And to your point that the eviction ought to be extended December 31st, I would suppose that many people would support that, especially the renters. But my question to you is, how long can this go on? Because on the other side of this story, there are landlords, not all of them big landlords, some landlords who might not be able to pay their mortgages for lack of getting their rent. So what do we do about them?
Yes, well, that over $40 billion can go to them. This has already been accomplished and successful, we hear, in Texas. So if we need to streamline the procedure of how this is supposed to happen and just say, just put it into the text that we need to make it, the money should go directly to landlords. If that's what needs to happen, let's do something. I think that we should be thoughtful enough to try to figure this thing out so that anywhere from 7 million people to 11 million people don't end up on the street. Because, look, we haven't fixed the housing crisis that we already have. How do we put more people on the street and then in a deadly global pandemic that is surging? We keep talking about it. Get the shots in arms and all of this. But how do we do that? Because the other thing is this. Let's remember that the research has just shown us that the communities that have the highest number of filings for evictions also have the lowest vaccination rates. disproportionately being affected. And so I won't stand alone and be quiet. Right now I'm exhausted, I'm sleep deprived, my body is physically hurting, but it's nothing in comparison to what will happen to those who are actually put out on the street and have to stay there.
Congresswoman, it's John Lemire. My question to you is, how do we get here? This is certainly a White House and Democrats on Capitol Hill, for the most part, have worked very well together since January. And on Friday, it was striking to see them blame each other for this impasse, with the White House pointing to the Supreme Court decision, Justice Kavanaugh saying this solution has to come through the legislature. So what broke down here at the end of this period and to lead these renters into this dire predicament, and what can be done quickly to rectify it?
Right, so this is not a hot potato game. It seems like it's hot potato, like pass the, keep passing it. No, it's urgent. Like, we need to move now. So whether it's the White House and the CDC working together to get this executive order done, or if it's the House, we've been calling for the House leadership to go ahead and come and reconvene us, have us come back. Look, the chairman of the House Rules Committee, Jim McGovern, came to Capitol Hill on the steps with us and said, look, I support you all. The Rules Committee is ready. In a nanosecond, if we get the 218 votes, we're back and we're ready to go. And then also, the Senate is still in session. I don't understand why yesterday we were watching the Senate, we were watching their cars pull up, but they didn't do anything to help. Let me say this, housing is infrastructure. So the breakdown is just leadership has to do more, because we're talking about the people who elected them and those that may not have, but they still signed up to serve all of the people.
Congresswoman Cori Bush, thank you very much for your heartfelt appearance on the show this morning. We really appreciate it.